and social media. Good morning. Good morning. I hope everybody's having a kind morning. Here we are on day 3 of deliberations. I haven't fully woken up yet, so my voice is going to be a little lower than normal. Good morning to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Let's see, make sure we got everything rolling well. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Good morning. Day 3 of jury deliberations. After we went through, 11 days of trial. We are now on day 14 of the entire ordeal. So, if you're new here, my name is Jamie, known as Frankly Jamie. I'm here on the BC Preacher channel covering the Kyle Rittenhouse trial since November 1st of 2021. Here we are in the third week on the day 3 of deliberations as we wait for okay, I'll put the link in the chat. As we wait for the jury to find Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty on all charges. That kid, you guys, I watched through a lot of video last night. I watched the HD version of the video that the prosecution claims Kyle is raising his gun and pointing it at the Zeminskis. I cannot tell you how many times I watched that video. I literally cannot tell you how many times I watched that video. Zoomed in, zoomed out, slow, fast. I mean, frame by frame. I watched it so many times. And I do not see what they are saying is there. I also watched Drew Hernandez footage from when he was down the street, and that's the first time you can actually see Kyle Rittenhouse walking through his frame holding the fire extinguisher. He's walking, right? Then you see, once they get to the car lot, on the video drone footage, you can see Kyle set something down, which we know is the fire extinguisher. In Drew Hernandez footage, as he's setting that down, that's when Rosenbaum begins chasing after him and Kyle takes off running. Like, I just cannot even, because Rosenbaum was hiding behind the vehicle, right? So he had to have startled Rittenhouse by coming out from behind that vehicle and began chasing him. I cannot imagine what this kid was feeling. Like, I know I've said this a dozen, 100 times maybe. I cannot imagine what this kid was feeling. I just cannot. At 17 years old, I'm thinking back to my 17-year-old self, right? And back in the 80s and 90s, things were different than they are in 2021, right? We didn't have these protests and stuff going on, although protests had happened in the past. Protests aren't a new thing. That's what we need to remember. Protests are not a new thing. Protests have been going on for many decades, right? But in the 80s and 90s, we didn't have a lot of protesting. This is just not what was going on because everything was just kind of laid back for the most part. I mean, my fellow 80s, 90s babies, what would you think? I mean, do you agree with me on that? I mean, it just seems like things were easy. I don't know. Things seemed just so much easier in the 80s and 90s growing up. And so I'm thinking back to my 17-year-old self, and I was your basic kind of disobedient kid. I didn't, I snuck out of the house a couple of times, and I started smoking cigarettes when I was 16 in high school, but this was after, kind of having a traumatic event in my life with my mom was so stable, like, and predictable. My mom was, if anything, we knew where she was every moment of every day, and she kept it stable. Our life was stable. I went to the same school from kindergarten to 6th grade. Never moved, had the same friends. I mean, we were grounded. And then we made a big move when I was getting ready, after 6th grade, when I was getting ready to go into middle school. And we moved into a completely different school district, left all my friends of 7 years. It was very traumatic for me. Like, when people have traumatic incidents, it's usually way worse than what I'm talking about right now. But for me, at 12, 13 years old, moving into that pubescent years of my life and leaving all my friends and kind of going to a completely different country is what it felt like to me. It was pretty traumatic for me. So I became kind of rebellious, and the school that I was in wasn't the greatest, and there was some family issues with extended family and some racism and stuff like that, because I have a black side and a white side. And so one of the reasons why, for all of the white people out there who have black family members, this is why I say, never use your family as proof that you're not racist. If you're not racist, you're not racist, and you don't need to prove that to anybody. But what you shouldn't do, and this is just my advice to you coming from a biracial individual, just because people have black family members doesn't mean they're not racist, and your black family members don't want to be your proof, right? So anyways, I kind of had that traumatic event, and so at 17, I was smoking, and I was skipping school and things like that. I wasn't a stand-up child, but I do know that if the couple of times I got into situations where I was frightened. In fact, there was a situation that happened with a gun where somebody had one, and I had never been around guns, and I was deathly afraid of the gun because I had never had one. I didn't grow up with them. I didn't know how to use them. I didn't know how they worked. All I knew was that they were dangerous. That's how I saw them. They were dangerous, and they could kill people, right? I was your average lefty at 16, 17, 18 years old, right? And so here we have Kyle Rittenhouse, and he's got things going on in his life that I never had going on in my life. My mom had a super stable, we were good, we were taken care of, everything. I mean, I had a good life. Kyle has been a cadet. He's finished a course with the police department, with the fire department. I don't know if you guys saw that picture of him dressed up in his little firefighter uniform and his cadet uniform, and he knows how to use guns, and he's knowledgeable, way more knowledgeable than I was at that age. And yet, and still, if I was 17 years old and I had grown men chasing me, I just don't think that I would have even acted in the same capacity that he did. Someone's saying the judge is on. Let me get to that. I got on here and started doing my my spiel. Sorry about that. I was just trying to, put myself into Kyle's shoes and try and understand what he must have felt. I'm pulling that up right now. Okay, I don't see the judge on quite yet, but I got the thing pulled up just in case they get on there. All right. So the way that I originally started this was because I was talking about how I was looking for the footage. And I guess the piece that really got me, because I watched this footage so many times, and it was Drew Hernandez. The thing that they're saying happened on the HD footage, the drone footage. I just do not see it, guys. I really do not believe that it's there, and I'm not sure how Salty Turtle and Binger even formulated this thing that they're saying is happening, that he's pointing his gun. It's a lie. It's just a lie. It's just not there. So the thing that really got me thinking was the Drew Hernandez footage, where you can actually see the moment that Rosenbaum starts chasing him. And that is just such a sombering moment where you see this grown man chasing a 17-year-old kid. And what we know about Rosenbaum now, that he was a child predator, that he sodomized little boys. It's no wonder that Rosenbaum felt so comfortable literally chasing this kid down. What a crazy thing, you know? That was his normal way of life. It looks like we have some trolls, and I'm not sure if the mods for Facebook are on. It's pretty early this morning, and I haven't really seen a lot of the comments, so I'm gonna head over there real quick and see what I can do. Some people are so dumb. I just put this kid away. What the hell is that 17-year-old doing? Oh, not this morning, dear. Not this morning. We're just not doing you this morning. You can go. Did you watch the case at all? No, they did not watch the case. You know what? Even if they did watch the case, they already have it set in their mind that he shouldn't be there. So, you know, what do you do when you have people? And this is exactly what I was talking about last night. You have a couple of these people, the patrols that are in our chat right now. We've likely got a couple of these people in the jury. Imagine that. Imagine having Susan in the jury. You got to take that into consideration, right? That may be a fake account, true, but these people do exist. These people really do exist. Somebody is behind that fake account, and there are people who really believe these things. Is Susan the new Karen? I'm actually on the jury. Stop, Tyson. Was Susan the only troll, guys? I don't. Oh, Mama Bear's in the chat. Oh, thank you. She's up early. Thank you, everyone, for being up early. This show is brought to you by onamericanstreets.com, and we are here to cover the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. My name is Jamie, known as Frankly Jamie, and my husband BCP, the Black Conservative Preacher. We are on the BC Preacher channel right now, and also on my Facebook. We're running on my Facebook. So good morning to everyone over there as well. Thank you so much for joining us. So what we've seen happen the last couple of days is that the jury does come in at 9:00, and they do start deliberation, but we don't really see them, right, until the court comes in, the judge comes in and has something to say, or the jury needs something. So I'm just on here as we kind of wait for the verdict. And we just kind of hang out. So that's what our deliberation day looks like. And then BCP is also going to be live in Kenosha for day 2 to show us what's going on the outside of the court, while we kind of pay attention to what's going on the inside. If you're new here, thank you so much for choosing our feed to come hang out with and join us as we watch this very, very important trial happening and unraveling before our eyes, unfolding before our eyes. You know, it's not just Kyle Rittenhouse who's on trial right now. It's our self-defense as a whole. We've seen these we've seen these riots, these violent riots take place in our states all last year. And what has happened is that the rioters have become kind of the standard as like response to things that they don't like. And it has kind of, and Binger even implied this, he suggested this during the trial and cross-examination of Kyle Rittenhouse, that we should be listening to the rioters. We should be doing what they say. And so this is a big thing, because everyone who supports the Second Amendment, everyone who believes in self-defense, everybody is on trial right now, right? The states are on trial. The law is on trial, right? The Second Amendment is on trial. Good morning, Rev. Good morning, Linda. We are seeing what's going to happen, and this is going to set a precedent. This case will be looked back upon if Kyle Rittenhouse is found not guilty. This is going to set a precedent for self-defense laws. And, we had a man here. His name was Michael, I believe. He was a journalist, and he was being mobbed by Antifa. He was in the middle of Antifa, and he actually took out his gun. So he had charges pressed against him for brandishing a weapon. He lost his whole livelihood over it. Everything. Because they're basically saying that he would have been better if he had shot somebody. Better off if he had shot somebody than if he had just shown his weapon, And so now here we are seeing what would have happened, because Kyle Rittenhouse did actually defend himself by shooting somebody. And we're seeing, what's happening with that. So this is so much bigger. This is so much bigger than just a 17-year-old boy in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I'm not saying he shouldn't have been there, because I don't have the right to tell anybody where they should and shouldn't be, and neither does anybody else. This is just kind of what we're seeing, and this is a very important case for all of us. All of us. Just like it was a very important case with all of these lawsuits against Brandon, aka Biden's mandates and the governor's mandates. We've got a clown governor here in Oregon, Kate Brown. Ugh, she makes me like, ugh. Every time I think of her, I see pictures of her and I'm just like, oh my gosh. But OSHA has abandoned the enforcement of the mandate, the vaccine mandate. So it's really interesting that has happened. That is our world today. We have to fight. We have to fight now without bloodshed, for the most part. Although this is what Kyle had to do, was shoot somebody. But if we don't win this case now, later on when our kids get older, there's going to be much more bloodshed than there is now. There's going to be a lot more, right? They're going to be in a completely different world. We've got more than half of the children being indoctrinated in these public schools. We've got all of the good officers, all of the good healthcare workers. I'm not saying there's not still some left, but everybody who is willing to do as the government said, in law enforcement, healthcare, education, and the military. It's a scary thought to think that, the people who won't resist the government are the ones that are left. So, if any good ones are still left in those areas, thank you. And you may be a lifeline for a lot of people coming up here in the next few years. We're only 11 months into a 48-month nightmare with this current administration. So hold on, because there's still a lot more coming. Yes. Let's see here. So we've got, can you give some more binger zingers? They're my favorite. Yeah, binger. Don't be a binger. Okay. And also don't get brazen with me. And I actually used that with my son yesterday. It was really good. And I think it worked. He looked at me like, what? Don't you get brazen with me. Okay. I feel like I've got a short or something going on here. Oh, I did have a short. It wasn't even plugged in all the way. Okay. Okay, let me see if I can get so good morning to everyone again. If you are new here, please like and subscribe, hit that notification bell and select all so you don't have to depend on Facebook and YouTube to decide which notifications you deserve and which ones you don't. Thank you for everyone on Twitch as well. And if you like YouTube and kind of the way that it's set up, Twitch is a lot like YouTube, and I think it's a little less crazy over there. But thank you so much for joining me this morning. There was a couple of things I wanted to show you guys. I do have the HD video if anybody wants to watch that. You know, it's really, unless you can get, unless you can zoom in, it's really, I mean, to me, it's really pointless because it's just in that first like 8 seconds where everything is kind of happening. And then, you know, you've seen the drone pans up and then back down. And so, I mean, I think it's right when it pans up is when they're trying to say that's when it happens. Because when it pans back down, then all of a sudden you see Kyle come out into the road and he's being chased by Rosenbaum. So, and also we wanted to watch Joanne Fielder today. She was one of our favorites. Grambo in the house. Let me see here. So, if anybody is just tuning in, it's about 9:26 back in Kenosha, Wisconsin right now. And the jury is likely deliberating right now. They typically come in and just go right to it. What we've seen over the last few days, they typically come in and go right to it. And then we won't hear or see from them unless they have a question or something happens with that. Which is what happened yesterday. So there were quite a few fun back and forths. Oh, yeah. Also, I heard that too, Jocelyn. The people who are saying that Judge Schroeder is biased, he was actually appointed by a Democratic governor and was prosecutor and in a private practice first. So, you know, we've seen him be an independent thinker. We've seen him understand the law, he even went to the books. He went to the books on the first and second day. He got the law books out, and he was dealing with the law as it is written with Binger, because Binger was just so annoying. But, okay. So that was really interesting. And I gave some fun facts yesterday about, the longest deliberations of a trial was back in 1992. And the trial itself took 6 months. So the jury had to sit there for 6 months and listen to testimony. 6 months. Imagine that. Imagine what we've been going through for literally 11 days. The jury had to sit there for 6 months of testimony. And if they had a binger, like we have a binger, that had to have been absolutely, their brains were likely mush by the time they got done with that. not to mention the salty turtle, right? So after the 6 months of testimony, they took 4.5 months to deliberate. That's 10 and a half months of their life on that one trial. So that's crazy. Also, what we're possibly looking at here is a hung jury. So it happens. A hung jury happens. And a hung jury is just basically when you have a jury that can't come to a unanimous decision on a verdict. In that case, the prosecution can decide whether to drop the charges or try the defendant again. In this case, I believe without a doubt that the prosecution would do it again. I really hope that guy who just said ban guns is joking. But in this day and age, you just never know who's joking and who's not. At this point in time, I believe without a doubt that the prosecution would, in fact, try Kyle Rittenhouse again. They know that they screwed this up. They know that they were absolutely a horrible representation of the state of Wisconsin as far as the DA goes. They did not have a good prepared case. They did not have facts. Watching Binger was like watching a ping pong ball, bing, bang, 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 bang all around. It's just been absolutely mind numbing to watch Binger up there asking questions. And even the judge has said, he said numerous times, where are we going with this? He said,
the matter is covered. Move on to something else. The matter is covered. Move on to something else.
He said, the matter is covered. Move on to something else. Because Binger just gets up there and he bings around and he doesn't have any real path. You know, we saw that the defense team got up there and they would just knock it out of the park every time. Their questions told us a story because they were clear and they were concise, and